It's no secret that our people are going through a very challenging time right now. Of course, yesterday with the horrific attack on the synagogue in Michigan, which through, open miracles, thank God the heroic security guard saved countless lives. But the reality is a lot of us are feeling very anxious, scared, suffocated. It's a very difficult time for the Jewish people right now. And I think it's fair to ask ourselves, what are things that we can do just to help ourselves out, to try to get through this difficult, really challenging time. And the reality is the Parsha, this week's Parsha, Vayakhel-Pekudei, I think might give just a couple insights into things that maybe we can practically do, which might help us. And the Torah tells us that Moshe, it says, Vayakhel Moshe kol hadas bnei Yisrael. He gathered everybody together. And then he says, Elu dvarim asher tziva Hashem lasos osam. These are the things that you should do. So Moshe gathers everybody together, and he says, these are the things that you should do. And then he says, for 6 days you should do all your work. And on the seventh day it should be a Yelechem Kodesh Shabbat Shalom Hashem. It should be a sanctified day. It should be a Shabbos. A Shabbos of Shabbases to God. A day of complete rest to Hashem, as our scroll translates. It should be a day of complete rest to Hashem. And then the next verse says, Lo sevaru eish b'chol moshvosechem b'yom haShabbos. You shouldn't burn any fire in all of your dwellings on Shabbos day. Don't burn any fire. So it's very interesting. I heard Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg quote, I think the Rabbi, who wonders, and he says, why is it that the Torah says these are the things that you should do? And then it lists the things that you shouldn't do. It says these are the things that lasos osam, you should do these, and then it says don't burn a fire in your dwelling place. What's the lesson there? So I heard explained from the Rabbi that when it says these are the things that you should do, it's actually going on the very first word of the Parsha, not what comes after about the laws of what you should not do on Shabbos, but on the first word of the Parsha, which is Vayakhel Moshe kol hadas bnei Yisrael. Moshe gathered everybody together. That there's this idea that what you need to proactively do is bring people together. Come together. That's what you need to proactively do. And I think that's such a powerful lesson that if you look at our history, whenever we're divided, we're very vulnerable, God forbid. When we're divided, when we're fighting each other, when we're getting nasty with each other because we disagree with each other, it's okay to disagree with each other. But when we get nasty over it, God forbid, that leads to tremendous vulnerability and anxiety, and things don't usually turn out well for us. So what Moshe is saying, what's being said here, is that gather everyone together, and we have to be proactive in doing so. We have to be mindful of coming together, being unified. Even with people with whom we disagree, we have to love each other and be unified with one another. And I think that at this time right now, maybe that's the first thing that we can do as a practical step as we go through this challenging time, to understand that we're going through this together, and that our enemies, they don't care how religious you are. They don't care if you wear, a black velvet yarmulke like this, or we call it kippah sruga, a knit yarmulke or no yarmulke. They don't care how you voted. They don't care, how often you go to synagogue, what kind of synagogue you go to. None of that matters to the people that hate us. So if they don't care about that stuff, we can't care about that either. If they don't mind, if it doesn't matter to them, then it shouldn't matter to us either. Just the other thing I thought that was maybe considering, what was worth considering, is the Torah says, for 6 days we do our work, and on the seventh day it's a Kodesh Shabbat Hashem. It's a holy, sanctified day of complete rest to Hashem. What does this mean? How can this help us? So I think a big part of our problem also is that, from what I can tell, many of us are just busily doom scrolling, just all day, endlessly. We're just consuming more news and more media, more social media, more tweets, and more news articles, more WhatsApp groups, or just people, just saying and seeing how scary it is, right? And then complaining about how scary it is. And it is scary. I'm not denying that. But it cannot be healthy for us to constantly be consuming this kind of information, where we're just constantly inputting in our brains these anxiety-inducing thoughts about how scary things are. It's just not healthy for us. And for us to endure and persevere in this difficult time, we have to be strong emotionally and mentally, and to constantly just be consuming this stuff and writing about it and WhatsApping about it, it's just not going to be necessarily fully productive for us. So I think a second tangible, practical thing that we can do at this time is take a step away for your own well-being, for your mental health. Take a step away from the constant influx of information about all this stuff, the WhatsApps and the messages and the tweets and all this stuff. It's just not good for us. Perhaps tonight until tomorrow night, maybe take a step back from Shabbos, a day of complete rest. Let it be a day of complete rest for you. You don't have to engage in all that content tonight. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe both. Take a step back. And God willing, we'll refresh ourselves and lean into who we are, be proud of who we are, gather together, unified. And that is how we are going to pull through this as well as we have throughout our storied, beautiful history. Have a beautiful, safe Shabbos. Bye-bye.